Welcome to Boomer Being. Today's topic, demystifying college admissions. My guest today is Sally J. Phelps, college coach. So stay tuned to learn how Sally can help you and your family navigate this extremely complex process and stay organized while doing so. Welcome, Sally.
Thank you.
Great to have you.
Nice to be here.
So tell us, how does a student begin the college search process?
Well, I think that the sooner a family can get started, the better, and the less stressful it will be. Certainly you want to be thinking about what types of career you think you want to pursue. A young person doesn't always know that, but that's a great place to start. I think that you want to be thinking certainly about schools. And do I want to be close to home, far from home, city, country, something in between? And visit schools whenever you can. I think that's a great way to get a sense of what's out there. And then build your checklist, make a list of everything you have to do, get yourself organized, put dates next to things for when they're due. Certainly you'll need to be thinking about who can you get recommendations from and writing your essay. But again, I think the sooner you start, the better.
So that brings me to, you're a high school student. What year is it really appropriate to start the process?
I think that toward the end of a sophomore year is a great time to begin to have these conversations with your parents, with your son, your daughter. Again, if you do start early, then you can start to lay the groundwork and use those junior and senior and early senior year to get the work done and really put together a powerful college admissions package. So I think second semester sophomore year is a great time to get started.
That's good to know. That's even a little earlier than I thought. So I hear a lot about Naviance when I'm in the high school, and it's a tool that most high schools have. Can you explain to us how that works?
Sure. Naviance is a fantastic tool, and when you asked about how to get yourself started, they have some wonderful tools for organizing yourself, for selecting your schools, for seeing a lot of stats at a quick glance that can help you determine, is this a school for me? Does it have the programs for me? Can I get in? Can we afford it? Those are all things that again, Naviance can help you with. They're terrific about helping you look at different careers and figure out, is this something that I might be interested in? It also has some wonderful accessibility. You can jump onto any college's website from Naviance. And again, there are just some quick reference, sort of top-line overviews of each school and stats that can help you make your list. Making the list of schools is a big thing, and that's what gets some people very overwhelmed.
Yeah, that reminds me of my next question was going to be, I know there's something like 4,000 colleges in the United States, and now it's time to look at colleges. How do you begin to pare down that list?
Sure. And again, I think Naviance isn't the only tool out there, but it's a very good one that can help you with that. Again, there are things that will make you aware of a college. It might be a friend that goes there or a relative that goes there. Or people might be saying, oh, this school has a great program for that. So you want to start to make that list. That list will grow, it will shrink. A couple of key points that you'll find on Naviance that I always look at when I'm working with a student are, what is the percent of applications that this school accepts? Yale is something like 5%.
Wow.
Okay. You want to think about, where do I fall in terms of my grades and how I've done this year in school, how I've done all through my high school years in school, and look at those stats accordingly. The other thing that Naviance has that I think is tremendous is a graph. So you can see, if you go to Andover High School and you're thinking about, let's say, Boston University, you can see on this graph, it charts GPA and SATs. And it has everyone at Andover High School who applied to BU before you, and did they get in or not.
Wow.
And then you're sitting there right in the middle of those X's and O's, and you can see, I could get in there, or wow, I don't have a chance. That is an instant visual of, is this a school that's realistic for me? So those are the kinds of things that I think can help you narrow down your list of schools, as well as the things I mentioned earlier, which are, do I want to be close to home or far from home?
Sure.
Do I want to be driving distance? Do I want to be way far away from my home? I have some young people say that to me. Again, city, not city, large, small, those are all things that once you start getting on college campuses and seeing different schools, you begin to get a sense for that.
Now, do you have any pointers for families when they finally do get to a campus, when they've narrowed down their list? What are some pointers of how to approach their visit?
Sure. I tell every young person that I work with, start a notebook. Bring that notebook with you to every visit. And as soon as you get in the car, jot down some notes. What did I like about this school? What did I not like about it? Because pretty soon they're all going to blend together. The other thing is, certainly you want to get a tour and sit in an information center. That's all going to give you great info. But if you can dig a little deeper into that school and say get a meeting with the education department, someone in the education department, a student, a graduate student, a professor, so you can learn more about that particular program, that's something a lot of families don't even think about doing. And then finally, the thing that I love to tell parents is, you will get in the car after that college visit and you might say, well, wasn't that a great place? And your son or daughter will look at you and say, absolutely not, no way, not going there, Mom. Your impression is one thing and your son's or daughter's is another, and at the end of the day, sorry, Mom, Dad, the student's got to feel good about the place.
Definitely. So we hear a lot from people about, oh, I have so many safeties, matches, and reaches. When a client comes to you, how do you advise them to approach these three categories?
Sure. You really do want to have a mix. Obviously, so safety is these are schools where I'm quite sure I can get in. Match, I probably can get in those two. Reach, that might be a little bit beyond me, but wow, I would really love to go to this school. So I'd like to pick some from there too. And again, these tools that I mentioned on Naviance, looking at the graph, looking at what percent of their applications does this school accept. Looking at the dollars, can I make this work? The other thing that's very interesting that not all schools will put on Naviance, but many do, is what percent of these students get some kind of aid? And is it need-based financial aid, or is it based on my grades? Every student's going to have a different profile when it comes to those two things. And if a school does not give any aid, that's something that you absolutely want to take into consideration. There are a lot of terrific schools out there that no one has heard of, but they will give you a lot of financial aid. So those are the things that are really going to help you narrow down your list.
Yeah. Now, another category that you hear a lot about is early decision and early action. And how are they important, and how do you advise your clients to approach
Sure, they are two very different things, and often students will get them confused. Early decision is if you have your whole life known you wanted to go to Holy Cross, and you get in and you look at the numbers and the tuition and you figure we can make this work, then that's early decision. So when you apply, you say, if I get in, if the money works, I have to go there. It's a binding thing. That's very unusual for young people to be that that focused on one particular school. It happens. That's the only time I ever would recommend someone does early decision. Early action is different, and I highly recommend any student does early action. And that's just earlier deadlines on everything. So those might be October 1, October 15th, November 1. My feeling is, and I've done a lot of reading that backs this up, you have a little better chance of getting in if you're in the early action pool. The school thinks you have your act together because you've done all this early, and that's the kind of student that most of us want. In addition, the people in the admissions department, they're just reading, you're the first applications they're reading. It's not March 15th and they're tired of reading applications. So I think I highly recommend that you go for those early action dates. The other wonderful thing about doing early action is that often you have you have your answers by the holidays.
Oh.
And what a gift that is to know my son or daughter is going somewhere. So I definitely would recommend early action. Not all schools have early action dates, but for those that do, and again, you can find that easily on Naviance or on their websites, those dates.
These are great pointers, by the way. So that brings me to, okay, a client comes to you and they have no idea whatsoever what their path in life will be. Do you recommend that they apply undecided, or do you have tools that would help them, to ascertain, okay, maybe they do have a major they would apply?
Sure, that's a great question. These young people are 16, 17 years old, and some of us are 50 and still don't know what we want to be, so can certainly understand that. But I do believe that the sooner you can get a sense of what you want to do, the more focused you can be when you get into your undergrad program. Some ways that you can do that are go to work with people. Spend an hour or two shadowing them and just see, what does someone do in a research lab? What does a speech pathologist do in a middle school? Just spend some time with them. You'll probably walk away saying, okay, not for me, or wow, I had no idea that's what this person does all day. Look at different work environments. Same thing with internships. Again, a lot of people will go into a high school internship, and many high schools offer these programs. And if you leave there saying that is not something I want to do, to me that's also a bonus. Some people feel like, wow, what a waste. But I think the earlier you can rule things out, same thing, the better off. There's also, many of us are familiar with the Myers-Briggs type indicator, where you can go online and take about 25 questions about your personality. And from there it'll tell you, this is your type, this is your personality type, and these are some occupations that you might be good at. I just did that with a young lady a couple weeks ago, and she left my house saying, wow, I feel better. I feel like I could do one of these things. And then I sent her off to learn more about those different things. If none of those work and you still have no idea, that's okay. Just make sure you're going to a school that has a good program for helping you figure that out. Certainly the liberal arts programs are very good at having you explore many different things and eventually get to what is it that you want to do. But I think a great question to ask on a college visit is, I don't know what I want to major in. What would you do with me? What is the program you have that will help me get there? And some have a very clearly defined, expose you to a lot of different career paths program. Others don't. So it's just good to know that going into the school.
And maybe how easy or difficult is it within a college university to change majors?
Right, and that, some make it very easy. Some say, we don't want you to pick a major until sophomore year, but we're going to expose you to many things during freshman year. But obviously the later you get into your 4 years and you make that switch, that's how a lot of students end up doing 5 years or even changing schools.
Yeah. So now you're a student and you've picked your school, and you hear a lot about the Common App. Can you speak to the Common App and maybe some pointers that you give your clients?
Sure. The first thought I have is the Common App is not quick. So don't think I can do this in about 10 or 15 minutes before I rush out the door to go out tonight. You really need to take time with it. You can keep coming back to it, and that's what most people do. They get it started. The Common App for seniors right now opened August 1st. So they should be online setting up their Common App. It's pages and pages of information. I also recommend that the parent does not do it, that the student does it. That's, I think, a trap many people fall into. However, someone absolutely should check it, because an error in the Common App, a poorly explained something, a typo, those can be the kiss of death for an application. So the Common App, the only other thing I would say is many schools have a supplement. So there is this application that goes to all schools. Many schools have an extra page or two. So it's keeping track who has supplements, do I need to do extra essays, that kind of thing are all part of the Common App. Also, obviously, not every school is on the Common App. So just having a handle of my 10 or 12 schools, 8 of them are Common App, 4, I will need to do a separate application is important, just keeping track of all that.
A lot to keep track of.
It is.
So the college application essay is something that can stress out a lot of students. Can you speak to what schools are really looking for?
Sure. The essay is something that people get very worked up about. And I guess the couple of pointers I would say are, first of all, it's really only about 5 paragraphs. Some people feel like it's 10 pages. It's really just about 5 paragraphs. You want to tell a story that will convey how you are different, how you are unique. What is it that I have that's special that I will bring to this community? In answer to the question, what do colleges want to see? They want to see that you will be an asset to their community. And if they read this and they say, wow, what a great young man, that's good. That's really what you want them to say. So you want to tell a story that is different, but that is definitely you. The other thing is plan on writing it and rewriting it and rewriting it and show it to 3, 4, 5 people, because you want that to sparkle and shine. You just really want it to be as strong as you can possibly make it. And one last point, there isn't just the main essay in the Common App. Again, many of these supplements have additional essays that you will have to do. So some people at the end of the process have written 4 or 5 or more essays.
So who would be a good person to bring this essay to? Would
Sure.
it be a teacher? Would it be a neighbor?
Certainly your parents, a teacher, an English teacher. Many English departments in your senior year, one of their assignments will be work on your college essay. So that's terrific because you're doing it as part of your assignment and have someone looking at it who has seen many of these before, and those people can say, okay, everybody writes this. I think that's interesting. So yeah, anyone who is good with words, is comfortable writing, I would recommend showing that too.
Excellent, thank you. So another thought, waitlisting. What is your opinion on that? Is it something that a student should just move on, or should they, realistically, should they wait?
Sure. It's a great question, and I think when you start getting those answers from colleges and you hear someone say, well, we'll get back to you in a couple months, so that means you're on the wait list. If it's a school you're really interested in, do not give up. I can't tell you how many students shut down and are quiet and never get in touch with the school again. So in the school's eyes, they're not too crushed about it. They've probably selected another school. If you have been waitlisted and you really are interested in that school, let them know it. And there are many things you can do throughout the process to be on a school's radar screen and to stay on it. And that is the time you want to be on that radar screen more than ever. So sit in on the admissions chat rooms. If someone comes to your town who's an alum and is doing interviews, see if you can meet with them. All those things kind of show up as a plus in the plus column of your application. And if 50 people are waitlisted and 15 are the ones who keep after that school and keep saying, I'm still here. When you do something extra, when you get a good grade, when you have an accomplishment you're proud of, send a note, send an email, tell the admissions person, please put this in my file. Those are all things that say to the school, this person really wants to be here, and I think we want to have them here, as opposed to someone who just goes completely silent. So don't give up.
I like that. Don't give up.
Right.
So many times, when you're in the community and you have friends whose children are college age, you hear that they have straight A's. They may have tons of extracurricular or volunteer activities, very active, involved in the community, and they apply to their dream school and they don't get in. What are some of the reasons this might occur, and what do you say to a client that comes to you in that, situation?
It's a good question, and when you talk about identifying safety and match and reach schools, nobody really knows. You can only take your best guess, and I can only take my best guess. Every year for a college, the applicant pool looks different. So someone who had no problem getting in one year might not get in the next year. They might have lots of baseball players that applied that year, or they might have lots of people applying to a certain program where they're only going to admit a designated number. They could have typos on their Common Apps. I worked with one young man who was very bright. He had good grades, and fortunately, I looked at his Common App before he sent it, and he had a lot of typos. And again, a college admissions team feels like this couldn't have been too important to you if you have typos on the Common App. So things like that, and on the surface, the picture might look great. They also might have said something in their essay that put the admissions team off. So those are things that absolutely could happen.
Yeah.
And you can't get too worried about it. You just need to move on. There are so many great colleges out there.
Yes. So big picture, how does a parent who's maybe first time, oldest child, looking at the process, how do they know what's right for their son and daughter? And what are some pointers for families as they approach the process this year?
Sure. Well, the fit has got to be there. And by the fit, I mean, is there a program there that fits what my son or daughter wants to do? Can we make the money work? Or is my son going to be saddled with all kinds of debt? That's not the way anyone wants to start their life. So is the program a fit? Is the money a fit? Does the college feel like a fit? Again, mom or dad might have had one impression of the place, but if your son or daughter is so excited about it, you really do need to listen to that. And honestly, they get a feeling about a school based on what they had for lunch that day, based on the tour guide, based on the weather, based on a terrific professor that stopped to talk to them.
Sure.
It could be many different things. So I think a parent, certainly you know your son or daughter, and you say, I don't think they should be 5 or 6 hours away from home. Because I know that won't go well. And you just have to have those honest conversations with each other. But at the end of the day, it is the student's choice. They have to feel good about it. And there are a lot of things you can do to dig deeper into a college if you're both not aligned. Have the student go and spend a night with someone. Have them sit through a day of classes with that person. And again, often that second visit will reveal something very different, or will just confirm, yes, this feels right to me. So a lot of people available to talk to, a lot of options for how you can dig deeper and be sure it's a good match.
Excellent, thank you. So recommendations, how many?
That will vary by school. Generally, it's 2 professors, two teachers, and a guidance counselor. An extra rec is always nice, so if you have been an athlete your whole life and had someone coach you for a few years, that never hurts. Same thing if you have just had a strong hobby or had a part-time job. Any of those extra recommendations in your folder it cannot hurt. You do not want a lot of recs. That will turn an admissions team off. I remember one application I read where, because I also do that in my current job, where the person had about 8 or 9 recommendations. No one's going to read those, and honestly, it puts people off. So it's generally 2 teachers, a guidance counselor, and if you have an extra one, that's okay too, but I probably wouldn't do any more than that. That will vary by the school.
Sure. Now, we hear a lot, particularly in Massachusetts, about internships and co-op programs. So can you speak a little bit about that as parents are looking at a college?
Sure, and as you're trying to think about how am I going to afford this school, I think if you can get a good paying internship during the school year, that's terrific. So those are all good questions to ask in the course of your visit there. How many students end up getting internships? What is the school doing to help them get these internships? Co-op is a totally different type of program where, for instance, Northeastern, you go to that school for 5 years to get your undergrad, but you leave with 2 full years of work experience.
Sure. Because
you're doing 6 months of school, 6 months of work. Those co-op programs are fantastic, and nearly always, certainly if you're a good student and a good co-op, you're getting job offers from those co-ops by the time you graduate. So the placement rate is very, very high upon graduation at the schools with the co-op programs. It is fabulous.
I hear you. So a few other little things about, approaching different colleges. Lecture size, does that have any benefit to look at that?
Absolutely. I think that, and beyond lecture size, every school has a professor to student ratio. You want to be at a school where your professors know you. And the lecture halls that we've all heard about or sat in ourselves, where you're one of 200 students, that's okay, but that professor isn't really building a relationship with you. It isn't really going to be able to provide recommendations when you want to go out and get a job. How much extra help is available? Is it really the main professor teaching, or is it a teaching assistant? So those are all things that you definitely want to learn more about. And maybe those are just a couple of freshman level classes. And if that's the case, and then the class sizes get smaller as you get through, that's fine. But those are all questions that you definitely want to probe deeper with and talk to students that are there and say, does this bother you? If they say it's a large lecture hall, but this professor is fantastic, that's okay.
So scholarships.
Yes.
When clients come to your office, do they ask for help, and are you able to steer them toward any or online resources?
There are a lot of scholarships available. The thing that you want to look into is certainly at the local level. Many towns have scholarships that have been donated to honor someone who has passed away, or the local VFW might have scholarships. So depending on the size of your high school, if you're in a small high school, those local scholarships, you have a good shot at those. They're going to be smaller. Certainly look at affiliations. If your father is in the Navy, there's probably a scholarship there that you could apply for. If your mother works for Coca-Cola, they've got scholarships. So those are all, think about your affiliations. Think about things, passion you have. If you dance, maybe there are scholarships that someone out there gives for a dancer. So those are all things at the local level. Then obviously they get a little tougher in the state level and then the national level. But absolutely, applying for scholarships is a lot of work. Be ready for that.
Yeah. I think we have just a couple of quick minutes left. And I know you were kind enough to bring us a few resources to put up at the end of the show. Can you speak quickly to what people should be looking for at the conclusion of this segment?
Sure. These are just some College Board. I've talked a lot about Naviance today. College Board has fantastic tools also for helping you make those lists and identify key things that you're interested in and really look at them quickly. College Confidential is a great inside track to what is the buzz out there about a school. And then there are some sites that will help you identify scholarships, help you learn more about the financial aid part of it, which obviously is a huge part of this whole equation.
Excellent. The pointers are outstanding. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to come to Andover and, share with us all your insights and knowledge.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks very much for being with us on Boomer Being. See you next time.